Beginning in verse 6. Verse 6 through 12. When Jesus had thus spoken, he spat on the ground, he made clay of the spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation sent. He went his way, therefore, and washed, and came seeing. The neighbors, therefore, and they which before had seen him that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay, and anointed mine eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam, and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. Then said they unto him, Where is he? And he said, I know not. Second act. The first act, a man blind from birth. Second act, spittle soil and set right again. Jesus spat on the ground. I don't know why he did that. In other places, he healed blind people by just putting his hand on them, or just by saying the word. Here he spat on the ground, and he made a mud out of the clay, and he put that mud on this fellow's eyes. Now, there are people who speculate that, spittle has certain medicinal qualities, they say. And mud, certain kinds of mud or dirt might have certain qualities that would promote some kind of healing. But you can't really speculate on that in this case. Jesus spit in the ground. He mixed the soil with the spit and made mud. Put on his eyes and said, Go and wash in the pool of Siloam. That pool of Siloam was named centuries before just for this occasion, because Jesus sent him to the pool called Sent. Isn't that something? God does some things that we miss sometimes. Let me give you a spiritual parallel. Saliva is one of those natural things that comes to us unless we're all dried up. At night, I wake up sometimes and it's so dry, I don't have any saliva. But saliva is produced by the body and it has a purpose. And in this case, the saliva that Jesus used was a parallel, was a symbol of his blood. It was a parallel of his blood that was spilt on the ground, that touched this earthly frame and applied to our lives, cured our spiritual blindness. Let's think about that. Jesus took that from himself, applied it to us, and we're made whole. Our blindness is taken away. When we become obedient to what he has done in us, that the works of God might be manifest in us, then we too will see the spiritual blindness fall off, the scales falling from our eyes. So I see this as a parallel, this second act. And Jesus says, if you really believe enough to go and wash this mud out of your eyes, then you will see. And the man went and did as he said. And his neighbors came around and said, are you the same guy? There's something about you that's familiar, but not. Some said, this is the man that was begging. And others said, he kind of looks like him, but there's something different. Has anybody ever come to you as a Christian and said, I knew you before, but there's something different about you now? I hear occasionally, I don't hear it all the time, but occasionally I hear stories on Unshackled. And I hear these people who have had this experience with God that has changed their lives. And I've got to tell you that the very nature of salvation in this second act is that there's a change that takes place that is obvious, not only to us, but to people around us. If we go back and keep on doing the same old stuff and acting the same old way, talking the same old way, looking the same old way, have you seen those ads in magazines and various places where it says before and after? And before, you got this person. And then after, whatever it is, product they use. Have you seen that? That's so bogus. I don't know what that product is, but it hadn't grown a bit of hair on my head. In the Christian life, that is truly what happens. Our whole expression changes. Our attitude changes. Our purpose in life changes. Ask somebody this past week at the truck stop, what do you think your purpose in life is? What do you think it is that God wants to do with you? Well, He wants to make me happy. That's not it. You want to try what's behind curtain B. Because that's not why you're here. That's not why God saved you from your sin. That's not why God set you upright and took the blinders off your eyes so that you could be happy. He put you here to glorify Him, to honor Him, to worship Him, and to enjoy Him. Now, is a Christian happy? Absolutely. That's just a pervading thing. I'm not sure happy is the right term, but joyful would be the one, wouldn't it? It's that which wells up from within by the Spirit of God operating in us. It's not circumstantial, which is what happiness is most of the time. And I see these people say, I bought 14 lottery tickets because the $300 million, and the next day after the drawing, they're going, oh man,